What's going on, guys? It's Macleod GF, and today I am beyond excited to be bringing you the highly anticipated upgraded minifigure showcase video to celebrate the release of Star Wars The Force Awakens, which after 3 years of waiting is dropping tonight at 7 p.m. Hopefully you got your tickets a couple months ago to the 7 p.m. showtime and you're waiting online right now while watching this video. I know I didn't, I'm going to the 9:55, but that's okay because I get to be here to celebrate the release with you guys with the biggest showcase video that I have ever done to date, with all 12 of these minifigures that I've made just for tonight, and those minifigures being our lead character Rey, Finn, Chewbacca, Han Solo, R2-D2, BB-8, Poe Dameron, General Hux, Captain Phasma, Kylo Ren, General Leia, and C-3PO. Man, that was hard to get through. But regardless, guys, again, I've been working on these minifigures for a while now, and I'm so glad to finally see it all come together and to be able to present it to you guys right on time for tonight's release. And man, it's been since Revenge of the Sith, since I became a Star Wars fan, 10 years since I've just been hoping that there would be a 7th Star Wars film. And when it was announced 3 years ago during Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm, I was just so thrilled. And now that we're finally here and that it's happening, guys, it is surreal. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so Rey was actually the first minifigure that I started on when I got to work on the Force Awakens minifigures, and the entire figure is fully painted by me, everything except for the face. The face, both sides of it have great likeness to Daisy Ridley, and the hairpiece was unpainted as well because there's no reason to paint the hairpiece. It's already fantastic the way it is. So the entire head the LEGO group had on their figure was amazing, and I knew I had to keep it for my upgraded version of the character. And the front and back of the torso, I should mention, again, fully painted. All of it's fully painted except for the face. Was done onto an area-like curved torso, and they are really great accessories for female minifigures. I use them quite a bit, and her waist cape that you'll notice is something I knew I had to have on the figure as well. And this is actually a heavily modified Cape Madness waist cape. No idea which cape this is. You can see it on his store, but this is what it actually started out as. That gives you an idea of just how much modification went into it in terms of all the paint work and all of the cutting that I did to make it look as close to Rey's waist cape as I could get it. And then one other detail that I also did was I painted on, or at least I painted quite a bit of Rey's mask, and it turned out pretty nice as well. That was actually the first thing I painted for the Force Awakens minifigures, so that was just something else I did. And notice I painted a little bit of blue on there for the light. And her staff, which has a lot of speculation around it, thinking that it could be some very special dark side character staff, is actually has a little bit of paintwork on it as well, some gunmetal here and there. You'll notice like on the tail ends of the lightsaber hilts and just the 3D parts of them. So I mean, other than that though, that's really it for Rey. And again, everything is entirely painted. There's a tiny bit of detail that you can kind of see right there behind the waist cape that's on the sides of the legs, but really most of the detail is on the torso, the arms, and everything you see on the waist cape. So this minifigure was really fun to make, and I think that it turned out looking just like Rey, and I'm pretty proud of it. Alright, next up we have Finn, and just like Rey, the LEGO group did an awesome job with the entire head on the original figure. The likeness to John Boyega on both sides of the face was awesome to begin with, and they did a fantastic job debuting this new hairpiece with the figure as well, so I kept that entire part. And then also I did use a pair of Death Star Trooper legs, because for any character that has regular black pants, they are just so useful, and I really like the design from them, and you've seen me use them on several figures before already, so I did carry them over onto Finn here as well. But I did paint these shoes on there that he has, like the tan shoes that he wears on Jakku. And then also the jacket though, like the entire torso was really where all the work went into, because you'll notice that I did get rid of the torso and I did pretty much paint an entirely new torso with a bunch of wrinkles, and I made the jacket three-dimensional. Now the jacket is a Cape Madness AR jacket with a little bit of modification work being done here, and you'll notice that I did paint all the necessary details onto the front sides of it as well, along with everything you see on the back, and that was definitely the more time-consuming process. But also the arms, as you'll notice, the arms that I painted, then the pattern on them, that was pretty time-consuming as well, and making sure that looked as neat as I could get it. And also the lightsaber. A lot of you guys have been asking me, where did this lightsaber come from? This is actually a Brickforge lightsaber hilt you can get on their site for like $1 or something. They're widely available if you want to get one for yourself. And all I did was just paint the black sections that you see on the bottom, and I can't wait to see why or how, you know, Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber was discovered on Bespin. Maybe they'll give us an explanation as to how it was found and how it made its way all the way back to the Resistance, because it's suddenly Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber's back and Finn's got it. So hopefully he'll be worthy enough to actually be wielding it in the movie. So yeah, but this figure turned out awesome. It's a little bit more simple than most figures, but it turned out looking just like Finn. Okay, so now BB-8, our new iconic astromech droid. I'll just say right now, this was really tedious because if you look at an original Lego BB-8, you can see that I pretty much just added a ton of detail and a lot of outlining work, and to make sure this looked as neat as I could get it, it was, like I said, pretty tedious. And so you'll notice that a couple things I wanted to point out is I did not sand off the bottom stud, and a lot of you guys I know were telling me to do so. A lot of you guys wanted me to, but personally, I didn't want to. I was afraid that maybe if I sanded the stud off the bottom, that maybe he would have problems connecting to actual like base plates, for instance, and I didn't want to have that happen. And you know, I just feel like the stud doesn't bother me nearly as much as it does some people, so I decided to just keep it, and I painted a few lines onto it to make sure it didn't look inconsistent with the rest of the paint. You'll also notice that I did make the lenses, like his eye and the light, I guess, on the like right to the right of his eye. I made those three-dimensional using some sliced up 1x1 plant pieces, so it turned out really awesome in all the detail that you see painted on. Again, you look at an official Lego BB-8 and it does not have nearly this much, so I just pretty much went above and beyond what the Lego group did. But what they did do, even though simplistic, was still effective for the set that he came in, and I am really proud of the way this turned out because man, like I said, it was so intricate to paint, and to make sure this all looked as neat as I could get it was really time consuming, and he still turned out looking awesome in the end, and he really looks great next to Rey. I think we were all pretty excited when it was announced that Harrison Ford actually gave a crap and decided to reprise his role as Han Solo 3 decades later. And so, of course, we have this minifigure because he is a huge presence in the film. So, making Han Solo, well, this was just an entirely new figure. It wasn't going to be originally. At first, I was going to keep the torso and the legs, but I ended up deciding that he needed a 3D jacket just like Finn, and that, unfortunately, the Lego Group's minifigure of Han Solo has black legs, and that's not accurate because he actually wears brown pants in the film. So I ended up just making it an entirely custom-made figure, and so you'll notice that the torso is entirely painted, as well as pretty much the same thing that I did for Finn, just actually a little bit less work, and that being a modified AR jacket from them with it being fully painted with all the necessary detail that I saw on his new jacket. And then his pistol, I should mention, is actually a Brick Arms prototype of the DL44. So this is actually not the finished version, but it's what I had available, so I decided to use it because it looks pretty awesome if you ask me, especially now that it's painted. Speaking of painted things, the face is entirely painted by me because honestly, I didn't really like the mouth on Lego's Han Solo face, so I decided that I would just fully do it myself, and I did kind of thought the eyebrows were a little bit too bright on that as well. One thing you'll notice that Han Solo does have, he does also have like the 3D gun holster, and the 3D gun holster is something I knew I really wanted to have on the minifigure, and it is a little bit, it's kind of low down on the leg because the first one actually kind of got damaged, so I ended up having to redo it, and on this new pair of legs, and you can see all the detail and all the buckles and everything continues onto the top halves of each leg, along with some nice belt detail as well. The cuffs are painted in white all the way around, and overall, I think the minifigure turned out really awesome. I wasn't expecting at first, like I said, to make it, you know, an entirely custom figure, but I'm really glad I did because honestly, I really feel like this turned out to be the definitive version of Harrison Ford in his new Force Awakens outfit. Chewbacca, man, walking into the making of this minifigure, this was really intimidating. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had so much reference to choose from because really Chewbacca doesn't change a lot from iteration to iteration, but I eventually landed on a fully painted minifigure, the fully painted minifigure that you see here, and what I did was I completely painted over the entire Chewbacca piece, and unfortunately though, I mean, it's really not the best mold for Chewbacca, and so, you know, things that I would have liked to do, I would have preferred to close the mouth. I would have preferred to go about the eyes a little bit differently because they don't really protrude like they do on the Lego Group's piece, but it is what it is, so I did my best to work around it, and I repainted the mouth to be a more of a pinkish color. I highlighted the teeth more, and you'll notice on the entire figure, I have this fur pattern that was kind of like similar to Groot, and in the sense that it's fully randomized, but it still makes for a really awesome looking, complete and consistent set of patterns. And so you'll notice that it does continue on the arms, on the legs, all the way around the legs, and like all my minifigures, of course, it does go, you know, entirely around all four sides of the legs. The toes are painted on in two separate shades of gray, and you'll notice, and it's a little bit more difficult to see because the wrinkles are, of course, a part of the piece itself, but each little mark on the fur and the, you know, the lighter areas is highlighted as well, just the same way that it is on the legs and on the arms, and I think it really came together to look really awesome. And the bowcaster, of course, is actually a standard modified Lego bowcaster, but I actually sculpted the tail ends of it, like on the very tips, like the spheres on the tips of the bowcaster, and then I cut off the front and just pretty much added a couple little scopes using some Lego antenna pieces, you know, gave gave the entire thing some weathering. I added on these little like strips that you see there, those little 3D strips, just for a little bit more depth, and it turned out to be a really awesome minifigure, and the bowcaster especially. The arms and legs, though, are definitely my favorite part. And God, I hope he doesn't die in the movie. Poe Dameron was another minifigure that the LEGO Group just did an amazing job on. The original figure was really awesome already to begin with, so I really didn't have to do as much as you would think, even though there was still some work that I did do to the figure. So I'll just say right now, the torso really was left untouched. You just look at that, there's nothing for me to do. That's as good as it gets. And I did paint that little black dot that you see right there, though. The arms have their own fully painted pattern. That was something that I did. They're actually pretty similar looking to fins, just with more lines and the color not being as vibrant or as noticeable, more so just a blend with the rest of his jumpsuit. And also the helmet, pretty much all the printing that was on the helmet to begin with was really awesome, so there really wasn't anything for me to do on the helmet at all, aside from the weathering that you'll notice that I did add on, because the weathering on Poe's helmet is definitely pretty substantial in the movie. Then the legs do have the boots painted on with some basic detail on the front of each one, and then you'll notice that the light gray straps I did continue around all four sides of the legs, so that's a thing. And then also you'll notice his blaster. The blaster is not necessarily my first design choice, but what I did was I used a Brick Arms Mini Uzi, because if you look at them, they're actually fairly similar in generic shape to, in general shape to a Mini Uzi. So I decided that I would go with this and just paint one silver. And what I did was I sanded off the top, and then I filled in this little gap here with the piece you see there, added a little bit of detail to it, and it actually looks pretty decent, and almost just like Poe Dameron's pistol that you'll see him sporting in the movie. That was based off the 6-inch Black Series figure, by the way. And again, I absolutely love the fact that the original helmet has the yellow transparent visor implemented. This was just a fantastic piece. I'm so glad the LEGO Group started to manufacture these for the Force Awakens sets. And you also notice I did add a little bit of detail on the belt there as well. So yeah, Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron. Can't wait to see our new pilot character in the film. And also, one other note before I end this segment, I did use tiny tactical glove tops. For our final original trilogy character, we have General Leia. And guys, I know you wanted me to make Luke Skywalker. Hell, I wanted to make Luke Skywalker. I was really looking forward to it. And then I realized, oh wait, we only have one shot of him in the trailer, and then we also only have like one leaked photo, and that directly contradicted what we saw in the trailer, and we didn't even know if that was real or not. And then it was it was just about the same case with Leia, but thankfully the leaked photo that came out of her costume did not directly contradict what we saw with Luke, and so I was able to make this very simplistic figure that you see here. And then also I saw like a TV spot, unfortunately, with her back that showed that there really wasn't anything on the back of her jacket. By the way, her jacket is a modified painted Cape Madness trench coat, and you'll notice I painted the flaps on it in sand green as well as the rest of her jumpsuit, and I actually based the color off that one shot of her and Han in the trailer. That's where the color came from. And then the very simplistic design that you see on her torso came from the leaked photo. And so that's really what this entire figure came from. And the hairpiece is actually a regular Leia hairpiece with a base color of dark gray and then like a tan wash over it, because her color isn't, Carrie Fisher's hair color in the movie isn't just a base color of dark gray, so I definitely made sure to add that on later. And then her face actually comes from the First Order officer in the Kylo Ren's command shuttle set. I really liked that face. I thought it actually looked just like Carrie Fisher, so I decided to take that face and then pretty much just paint over the lips, and it turned out to work out really well. So yeah, then her legs are very simplistic as well, featuring very minimal paintwork, but you can see there that it is actually half of the Death Star Trooper legs that you guys know I really like, that I actually used on Finn, that I carried over onto here, because she does appear to have a very basic pair of pants and then a very basic pair of black boots that I also painted on. And of course they do wrap around all four sides like the paintwork that goes into every minifigure's legs on my customs. And then also I do have the cuffs added onto her arms as well, and that was something I knew I had to add on that we saw in the first teaser trailer, or at least the second one with Luke. Anyway, there you go, General Leia. Coming in on our last two Resistance characters, we have C-3PO, the famous protocol droid, and yet again, the LEGO Group did an amazing job with the original figure. Hell, because he actually got his own poly bag that I picked up at Toys R Us, and got started on this minifigure as soon as I finished the review. And so you'll notice that I did add a few things here and there, but really nothing major. I repainted the eyes, filled them in with black, the two pupils. I added some brown highlights toward the top of the head here that you'll notice. I extended the lines that are on the arm so that they go all the way around, like so the arms don't just cut off here, they actually go to the very edge. I did also add some detail on the back of the belt, you'll notice, and I think that is definitely the most seamless integration of paint that I've had on a minifigure right there, because the back of the belt is fully painted and it continues onto the side of the belt here, and that's really awesome because honestly that looks really seamless to me, and I was really proud of that. And then you'll also notice that I did actually add some detail for his toes as well, and that also includes some lines on the very top halves of his feet, and so they turned out pretty nice as well. And of course, like of all minifigures, again, they wrap around all four sides of the leg. And other than that, you'll notice I did add a couple little brown lines on the very front of the legs there as well. And I mean, aside from that, there's really not much else to C-3PO other than just a few added details that I did. Lego really had an awesome minifigure as it was. I could point out though that the lines, when I say I continued all of them, I really mean it. Like I continued the ones on the top of the arms too, so they would go to the edge as well. But other than that, you'll notice that's it. There's nothing else to notice actually. I mean, he has the red arm, but that's, yeah, there you go, C-3PO. R2, on the other hand, was not a simple minifigure because I had to do quite a bit to get R2-D2 to the point where I wanted him to be, and to get him to that point, it was a lot of paint work and it was incredibly time-consuming. He ended up being the second most time-consuming and most challenging minifigure in this showcase next to Kylo Ren, but he also became my favorite minifigure in this showcase next to Kylo Ren. So, yeah, but when you get so many R2-D2 minifigures in every single freaking Star Wars set, it's like you just don't take a second look. You really don't consider how much detail is actually left out on an R2-D2 minifigure. So you compare this to an actual one, and you can see I just did a lot of paint work, and that includes all of the paint you see and all the detail you see on each leg. They are pretty much exactly the same, except for the tubes. You'll notice I did make those a little bit unique on each one, but they are exactly the same, just flipped on each leg. And then I have ventilation here, extra detail on the sides of each of both sides of the main torso. So pretty much what I didn't paint was the main torso and the blue and all that stuff on the dome, his head itself, but everything else I fully painted. The third leg was something I added as well. That's just a white cheese slope with painted detail, and then it has a connector right there that pretty much holds it in place, but I cut it in half and made the top more jagged just so it wouldn't come out or be loose at all. I painted the two studs, all four studs that the dome connects to. Those are all painted in a metallic light gray. Each and every one of the little pieces that sticks off the top of his dome, those are all three-dimensional. I use a 1x1 plan piece, the same as BB-8, to make that happen, and those were definitely really nice and defining detail. There's a little bit of weathering on his dome as well. Then the back is entirely painted by me, and that was definitely the most time-consuming part because I had to again paint all of that, and it was that was definitely what did me in with this figure, was how much paintwork needed to be done. I mean, and not even just on the back, but the legs were just almost as time-consuming when you put them together. But I mean, I'm still really proud of the way this minifigure turned out, and real quick, just to pull off the third leg and give you a look at what he looks like without it, it's still a really awesome minifigure, and I really, again, am proud of how he turned out. Our Darth Vader obsessive, dark side user, Kylo Ren, was definitely the most challenging minifigure to make out of everyone in this showcase because of the amount of sculpting that was involved. And as you guys might already know, sculpting isn't necessarily my strongest skill, so sculpting an entire head like this and an entire hood, not necessarily the easiest thing to do when the character's face is splattered all over every store in our nation and all over the globe right now, because I know a lot of you guys know exactly what Kylo Ren looks like, so getting him wrong was not an option. And after I saw Aaron Legomatic 9 had a really awesome Kylo Ren head coming up, I figured that I could give it a go. Maybe I won't stick with the printed head and the Lego hood. Maybe I should give it a shot, because I had already been going back and forth with myself even before I saw his, but link to his channel will be down in the description below. Once I did do it, it turned out really awesome. I got the thing sanded, painted everything you see right there, but then I realized the Cape Madness hood did not work. So what I had to do, because it was way too pointy and it did not look right, I had to fully sculpt this hood, and it was definitely difficult. I didn't know if I'd be able to do it again, because I had already done it previously on Green Arrow, but I mean, it ended up working out in the end, and even though the process was definitely really kind of made me anxious, it turned out, as I just said, looking really nice. And then also with the blade, Lego kind of had it as one, solid blade, and so I had to pretty much just paint the middle of his lightsaber blade there, and then that, of course, wraps around to the other side as well to make sure there's no red in the middle of his crossguard saber, with a little bit of black weathering in the middle there to make sure the color is as close as I can get it to the gunmetal that's already on the hilt. hilt. It turned out pretty sweet. He also has a modified Cape Madness waist cape with some paintwork on that, a fully painted pair of boots, and the Kylo Ren legs that are underneath the waist cape are actually the ones from the set, but with all the lines continued around all four sides of the legs. The arms are fully painted as well, you'll notice, and all those lines are individually painted, and that was very tedious and time-consuming to do. He also has a pair of tiny tactical glove tops, and the little bit that you see on his belt, I actually made three-dimensional and repainted everything that was actually on the printed torso. So that was something I decided to do for Kylo Ren. And overall, the minifigure, while yes, it was challenging, it still turned out really awesome in the end. And to remind you what I didn't paint, I did not paint the torso. I painted the little 3D the little bit on the belt, as I just mentioned, and then the piece, the front of these lines here on these legs, like on the, on the actual legs themselves, not on the waist cape. Those were not painted either. Everything else was me, and Kylo Ren definitely, I feel, turned out to be the best minifigure in this entire showcase. The now iconic Captain Phasma character was definitely a minifigure I really went back and forth with myself on, because I didn't know if I should have stuck with what the LEGO Group already had to offer with their chrome color, or if I should have gone with a spray painted reflective chrome. And I decided to go with the latter because simply I didn't want to lose the detail that was on the front of the helmet, that was on the torso, and it's just like that. It's just that simple. That was really just all that went into my reasoning for that. But anyway, her blaster is actually a Brick Arms FOE 11 or FOE 11, however Mr. Chapman pronounces it. This is a Brick Arms prototype, not currently available on his site, but thankfully he was kind enough to send a few of these out, and I painted this one for Captain Phasma. Pretty much everything I painted on this, all the black and all of the gold tint, the gold tint that you see on there. So I mean, it turned out really nice. There's no stock on it like there is on Captain Phasma's blaster, but that's simply because this is Lego, guys, and that would not have worked with a Lego minifigure's arm. She has a little bit of hand detail as well. It's not something I do often, but it's something I knew I could add on to the figure, so that's a thing. And then also, her belt is three-dimensional. I pretty much just went all out with that, kind of like what I did with Kylo Ren's belt, how I made that one little section come out, except I did it for every single pouch on her belt, and then I painted it in silver, used a little bit of some dark gray weathering and outlining to really make sure that it blended well with the torso. Her cape is actually fully repainted as well. It's totally repainted in my own black color and my own red color, because I kind of figured that it would look a little better than what LEGO Group printed onto theirs. And then you'll also notice that the detail on the sides of her legs, that's all painted, and it does wrap all the way around. Of course, the detail on her back, the back of her torso is still there. And then her head is actually a Princess Leia head from the Imperial Shuttle Tidarium. I painted the neck around that as well, and I decided to go with this head because it looks a lot like Gwendolyn Christie. Of course, we don't know what Captain Phasma looks like under her helmet, but I decided that this was definitely an opportunity I didn't want to pass up, even if she doesn't look like a regular human. Maybe she's disfigured or something underneath the helmet. But speaking of Gwendolyn Christie, I should point out that she actually saw this minifigure in one of the previews that I posted on Twitter when I tagged her. So that was definitely pretty cool seeing that favorite pop up on my feed. But anyway, there you go, Captain Phasma. And here we are, guys, at our final minifigure, General Hux. Well, I was not planning on making General Hux. At first, I was going to be making Luke, of course, and then when I decided not to keep it a 12 minifigure showcase, I decided to bring back the idea of General Hux and make him instead. Did I say Huck? I kind of sounded like that. Hux. Anyway, everything on this minifigure was done by me, except for the head and a little bit of the detail on the legs, because just like Finn, this is actually another pair of Death Star Trooper legs, but I painted on the boots, and I actually painted around the gray lines that were already printed on the belt, and I just used my own black color to make sure that it was consistent with the painted torso. And yes, that torso is fully painted, just to mention that. And his arm right here, this arm was definitely the most tedious and most time-consuming process. Painting the First Order symbol was very intricate. I still managed to do it, but what was definitely not fun was, again, kind of like Kylo Ren, having to make rings that go around the arm that are really thin, but I had to make them much closer together. So this was definitely the most time-consuming part of making the minifigure, would be this entire arm here. He does have a pair of tiny tactical glove tops as well, and his pistol, kind of like Poe's, I used a mini Uzi, but unlike Poe's, I gave it a sight on the top there, and then a little bit of a barrel addition on the very tip of it to make it look more like General Hux's pistol and less like a mini Uzi slash the pistol that you just saw me use on Poe Dameron. And then his trench coat is a modified Cape Madness trench coat, except I added a bunch of gray lines wrapping all around the thing, of course. And then this design, I didn't mean for it to, but it kind of looks like an anchor. So yeah, that happened. But anyway, that's really it for General Hux. Actually, I decided not to go with the hat because that would have involved like sculpting an entire set of hair on the back, because when you put that hat on that he comes with in the set, there's no hair on the back of his head, and I was like, yeah, he doesn't seem to be wearing it that much in the movie anyway, so I decided to just stick with the hair that you see here. And that's pretty much it for the Force Awakens showcase, and thank you guys so much for sticking around for the whole thing. I really appreciate it. And that was pretty much it for all 12 of the minifigures I've had planned for the film, but there's still a little bit more to do in this video, so don't go away just yet. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up.
I will finish what you started.
You know what? Screw this crap, I'm done.
Alright guys, and there you go, my final showcase of 2015 to celebrate my favorite franchise of all time. And as I said at the start of the video, this has also been my biggest showcase video ever. And guys, everything was leading up to this. All of the work and all of the effort that went into these minifigures and in this video alone was all leading to tonight. And if you enjoyed the showcase video, the culmination of it all, or maybe you found yourself inspired to make your own minifigures from Star Wars The Force Awakens, be sure to let me know by dropping this video a like below and or your opinion on any of the 12 minifigures down in the comments, because guys, your opinions really do go a long way for me, because it's you guys are why I do this. You guys are the reason that I get to make this many minifigures, to celebrate the things that I love, and to be able to do that each time for all of these movies, all these games, all of these TV series. It means the world to me that I get to do this and that I get to celebrate these things with you guys, because it's what I love to do, and these are the characters that I love to make. And getting this done on time to be here tonight, it was really worth it, and hopefully you thought the same, because it's been a really long road to this film, and definitely quite a process pulling all of this together. And to follow me and everything I'll be doing in 2016, definitely check out my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links to all three of those are always down in the description below as well. And I'm going to be doing an entire showcase for Deadpool, for Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, Suicide Squad, and that's just to name a few of the pretty insane showcase videos I'll be doing in 2016. And I'll have a Christmas video and a New Year's video to wrap everything up in 2015. But for the most part, this is it, guys. It's been one hell of a year, and I just cannot believe that I am heading to the IMAX theater right now to go experience Star Wars Episode 7. That is something, as I've already said, something I never thought I'd be able to say in my lifetime, and I am so thrilled that we're about to go see the kickstarting of the new trilogy and of the new trilogy of sequels. It's going to be an incredible few years, guys. I'm going to end it there and head to the IMAX theater, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. May the Force be with you. Bye! General shit. Working on and off for the past 12 months, 2 months, Ross. There's a little bit of a difference there. Gosh damn it. Now to celebrate, close enough. Rey, Finn, Chewbacca. That's not Chewbacca. Princess Leia, General Leia, Ross, mother.
It's been 30 years, and we've downgraded from a rebellion to just a resistance. The Empire just rebranded themselves. Your incestuous brother never brought back the Jedi, and I'm still doing the same shit with Chewie. We're failures.
Because like I said, the mother Cape Madness, Jake, it's what keeps, why does that keep, and all, I'm not timing this, gosh damn it. Never mind, too many Fantastics. Fantastic Four is not something I want to be reminded of right now.
He plays Kylo Ren, Adam Driver.
No! Luke is Kylo Ren! Does no one know I'm in this movie?
You guys wanted me to freaking use the sculpting hood, or if I was this sculpting hood, great. Awesome, Ross, just great. I'll know you'll, really? Or for Borth, God, speak! Damn! Realized that I wasn't going to
I don't know your name.